Lucky Boys Podcast.
They always talk about, COVID cases in, ethnic groups. It's always the Black or Latinos. I said, wait, hey, Asian, you telling me Asians don't get COVID? I mean, come on. Right. I mean, maybe, but there's one time I did watch CNN, they said, Asians have a much lower number, but we still count. We have cases and we have deaths too.
Absolutely. And not just that, it's also affecting, the Asian community in other ways besides deaths. It's
right.
Livelihood, like businesses are closing, people are not surviving because of that.
And that's what people who are not from the community, who are not Asian, they don't think about that part. They're just thinking if COVID is going to affect you physically, but they're not talking about the livelihood, like the community, the businesses, just people.
And the people that's attacking those communities, they're attacking the women, they're attacking our seniors, and in some unfortunate cases, physically.
Yes.
And that's not being brought to mainstream media's attention or political candidates with enough intensity. I see it here and there, but it's just a quick blip. It's a crumb.
Right.
But it's not enough. There needs more intensity to this because it's a very serious issue that we have in this country.
Well, going back to that, because if there's lack of reporting, we're talking about diversity, the diversity in the newsroom. That's what it is. So as I write, so we could go back to later, but it talks about diversity in the room, just like you talk about film, right? Diversity behind the camera matters just as much as what you see in front of the camera.
Absolutely.
Who's making those decisions, right? And I know you had, Patrick. Hey, Patrick, you're talking about that. He had to talk about, the organic, part of the filmmaking, right? You want to make sure it's done correctly. Like, I'm sure you done film. Like, I was doing background work, and it was supposed to be a Chinese dream sequence of the wedding.
Oh boy!
They had the bride come in wearing white. So but Chinese, when you went to red Chinese, but they put white flowers in her hair. But then they had Japanese fruit, and the tables were set for 4.
Oh, our favorite number.
Yeah. So I walked in. My other friend who were doing the background was like, "Yo, this is supposed to be a Chinese wedding. I think you sure it's not a funeral. This the tables for 4. And she had white.
And for those of you that are listening, 4 in Chinese, it loosely translates to death.
Right. So going back, we're talking about diversity. Why it's not covered? Because it's not like there's. When we watch television, there's a lot of Asian reporters. We know that there's a lot of Asian journalists, just not as lot as white or Black or Latino. But there are. But it's that diversity that's going to bring that coverage out, that connection to bring those stories to the camera and to the news.
And then we start building momentum. Then we start gaining more support.
Exactly.
And then that's when you see little Ming over there or little, Ping over there. And that's when they'll start becoming more integrated with the system into the melting pot. I think that they won't feel like they're a visitor in a country that they were born in.
Yes.
Yeah, I think that's extremely important. Also, I think people who have voices or have a platform, I think it is their responsibility to shoulder some of that leadership because they have that stage. I don't always see them use it, but I think there's a responsibility with that level of power that they have that they should not be afraid to implement because I know for one that we will absolutely have their back, but I understand that could hurt their pockets. If I think Don said this, but he was pointing more towards people in politics, but I think this also goes across different industries is stop serving your masters. They may not have your best interests.
Right.
Yeah.
The master's tools will never dismantle the master's house.
Ooh, can you say that again?
Judy, that's deep, man. Where'd you get that?
Drop that verse.
Jeez.
I was a senior in college and I told my professor I want to change the world. And he was like, a master's tools will never dismantle the master's house. So depending on what you want to do with your life, you need to figure out which side you want to stand on.
Yeah.